The millionaire surprises by knocking after a black homeless woman cares for abandoned girl. Clara's hands trembled as she wrapped Lily tighter in the torn wool blanket. The cold seeped through every crack in the alley walls behind the old warehouse, biting into their skin like tiny ice blades. Lily's small body shivered against her, the little girl's wide eyes fixed on the silver necklace resting against her bare chest. A delicate chain with a strange, old-fashioned locket. It gleamed faintly in the dim streetlight, like a secret that refused to stay hidden. The sounds of the city never stopped. Distant sirens, muffled voices, tires screeching on wet pavement. But here, in this forgotten, crumbling corner, the world's noise seemed to fade into a heavy silence, filled only by their ragged breaths. Clara's heart slammed in her chest, each beat a frantic warning. She'd dragged herself through more nights like this than she could count, clutching nothing but hope she never expect. It came again. Someone was standing just feet away, right outside their fragile shelter. Clara stiffened. Were her hands going to fail her? Was this a trap? She eased the patch of tarp aside, and there he was. Ryan. Slick suit, sharp smile, eyes full of an impossible calm that made her throat close up. A billionaire. The kind she saw on news screens, but never imagined would stand here knocking on a curbside refuge in this God-forsaken part of town. His voice was smooth as silk, low enough for only them to hear. "I know about that necklace," he said, nodding toward Lily. "It's more than just a piece of jewelry. It could change her life, change yours." Clara's chest tightened, suspicion prickling the back of her neck. How did he know? Why find them now? The city was a jungle of misery and greed. Could she trust this man who smelled like polished money and promises? She glanced down at Lily, who clutched the necklace tightly, the tiny fingers trembling, not just from cold, but something deeper. Something unknown. Ryan stepped closer, eyes flicking between Clara and the girl. "That necklace is the key to an inheritance, a legacy with a fortune behind it. You don't have to live like this anymore." But Clara's heart screamed. Could she trade the only home she'd managed to build with a child who looked at her like she was everything, for the dangerous shimmer of riches that might shatter them both? Where was the catch? The lies buried in his smooth words. Her breath hitched, mind racing through memories, shadows from her own shattered past suddenly surfacing without warning. The city's cruel truths echoed louder now, pushing her to protect Lily no matter what. Outside, a distant shout cut through the night. Somewhere beyond this alley, the city carried on, harsh, unforgiving. Clara glanced back at the billionaire, doubt clawing inside her like a wild animal. Who was he really? And what dark secrets lay beneath his charming smile? The cold pressed in again. The necklace sparkled like a question mark, daring Clara to unlock the secrets it held. But would she survive what opened next? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, What city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Clara's heart raced as she wrestled with Ryan's words. Could a necklace truly hold that much promise? But before the weight of the decision could settle, a sudden shout cracked the silence. Loud, angry, piercing through the cold air like a bullet. There is she! Clara's breath caught. Instinct erupted within her, raw and primal. She pulled Lily closer, instinctively shielding the girl with her body, as if warding off a tempest. Ryan's cool demeanor shifted. He glanced toward the alley entrance, his calm replaced by an urgency that sent alarm bells ringing in Clara's head. Suddenly, figures emerged from the shadows. 3 men, their faces hard and lit by the flickering streetlight. Gritty, dangerous. They looked like they belonged to the underbelly of the city. The leader, a towering man with a jagged scar running down his cheek, roared again. I said, "Where is she?" Clara's pulse pounded in her ears. She wasn't ready for this. Not now. Not like this. Panic twisted in her gut, and she felt the weight of the necklace pressing against her palm, almost like it was alive, begging for a choice to be made. Ryan didn't hesitate. He stepped forward, blocking Clara and Lily. "Back off!" he shouted, his voice crackling with authority. The men laughed, a sound that chilled Clara to the bone. "Look who it is, the millionaire trying to play hero." The scarred man chuckled, but the mirth was short-lived. "You have something that belongs to us." Suddenly, Clara's heart dropped. This was bigger than she had assumed. This wasn't just about the necklace. It was about the girl. A raw understanding pierced through her. The necklace wasn't an inheritance. It was a link. Lily's small hands trembled, clutching the locket tighter. With dawning horror, Clara realizó no era nada más el chance de la vida matarle ante su puerta. Él atrapa. Vete sin hasta por alegarles a un campo de peligro. ¡Qué linda niña! Tirocó el picardo, inclina con la punta contra rival. Claras instintos se enchirriaron encima. Una pared de caos, sedeante de la línea. De Chistán frente término. Ryan stood on the front line, unyielding, yet visible shaken. No puedes llevarla. Está salva aquí. Salva. Ella está como un camperilla caminante por el collar. Los ojos del hombre calcinaban como el acero de descendiente. Wait, what do you mean? What's it got to do with her? Clara's voice cracked, stuck between disbelief and desperation. Just when the tension felt like it would snap, Ryan's eyes shifted, the calm slipping away to reveal a hidden fear. Clara, I didn't want you to find out this way. The necklace, it holds the key to something dangerous, something that goes far beyond money. Clara's insides twisted. What do you mean? The question hung heavy in the air, but before Ryan could respond, a loud crash echoed down the alley. A figure broke free from the shadows, a woman, wild-eyed and desperate. Clara, run! They're coming for her. They know! The world tilted, crashing down as the shocking truth wrapped around Clara's mind like barbed wire. The woman opened her mouth to speak, but the energy shifted, heavy with urgency. Ryan's face drained of color. "No, not now," he murmured, a panic breaking through his polished front. Clara's thoughts raced, heart pounding harder than ever. This man she had just met, was he a hero or a villain in disguise? The breath shrank in her throat. And somewhere deep within, hope and dread wrestled for control. Could they outrun the shadows of a past that suddenly loomed large? And what lay at the heart of that necklace, buried beneath layers of lies and uncertainty? Just then, the ground beneath them shook with heavy footsteps approaching. The stakes had escalated, but the question lingered. Who could be trusted in this dance of darkness? Clara could feel it swirling around her, tightening like a noose. As the figures drew closer, she heard the sound of laughter tinged with malice, echoing like a death knell. The night had only just begun to unravel its secrets. Lily's eyes darted between Clara and Ryan, uncertainty clouding her innocent gaze. Clara's stomach knotted tighter. The promise in his words hung in the air, thick and suffocating, like smoke from a fire that burned too close. "I can help you," Ryan insisted, holding up his hands as if to calm a storm. "You just need to trust me." A sound sliced through the heavy silence. Metal scraping against concrete, sharp and sudden. Clara's heart leaped, and she pressed her back against the wall, shielding Lily instinctively. Then, voices. Angry shouts echoed from farther down the alley. Clara's breath caught. Was it the gang from last night? Had they found her again? The city didn't let go so easily. "Wait," she whispered, and Ryan's confident demeanor faltered for a brief moment. "Clara, please." His voice dropped to a near whisper, desperate and somber. "That necklace isn't just a piece of jewelry. It's a key, and it belongs to her." The world around them faded, and her focus narrowed. But how could he know? Clara's mind raced, pulling strands of possibility out of a dark past. What if he was lying? What if he wanted to take Lily? Anxiety twisted her stomach. Another crash echoed, and Clara flinched. "They're getting closer!" "You need to go!" she shouted at Ryan, urgency crashing into her voice. But he stepped closer, eyes brightening. "If you knew the truth about that necklace, you wouldn't want me to go. Lily is special. She doesn't know yet, but she can—" Then came a loud bang, and the whole alley seemed to shudder. The sounds of chaos erupted. Clara's heart raced. What was happening? The fear bubbled beneath her skin, growing louder than the sirens in the distance. "Stay close," she urged, grabbing Lily and huddling them both further into the shadows. But before she could take another breath, a figure burst into view, bulky, threatening, a man cloaked in black. Clara's breath caught like glass shards in her throat. It was him, the one who had threatened her last week. "Clara!" The man called out, voice low and menacing. "You thought you could run?" Time froze. The alley seemed to hold its breath as his eyes found Ryan, recognition flickering like static. "I don't know who you think you are, but you need to leave." Ryan straightened, confidence rushing back. "I'm here for her, and you don't have a say." With every word, the air thickened. The man took a step closer, tension crackling like raw electricity. "If you think you can take her from me, enough." Clara could barely muster the words, but they exploded out of her, fierce and protective. "You don't control me anymore." Suddenly, a loud crash rang out. It sounded like glass shattering. Clara's heart dropped. A flash of color, a figure darting behind the man in black. Someone was coming up from behind, moving fast. Clara squinted, disbelief crashing over her. It was a woman, freaking out of the shadows, wild hair flowing and her face twisted in anger. You've got it all wrong, she shouted, fist raised, voice echoing off the walls. Lily isn't just any girl. She's... Clara's heart plummeted. The woman's words hung in the air, heavy and pregnant with meaning. Questions erupted in her mind. Lily, wait! But before Clara could say another word, the alley was filled with heat, blinding light, and a sound like thunder. A flash exploded, sending shockwaves through them all. Silence fell, and within that silence, everything shifted. The unthinkable spun around her. Had Ryan known all along? What had just been revealed? As the dust settled, Clara's heart raced in a dizzying panic. What now? What did it all mean? The quickening pace of the night swallowed her, leaving her with nothing but uncertainty. The haunting words of the woman crashing through her thoughts. Lily wasn't what she seemed. E-song. 4 decades. But the brief, the fast inevitable. Lily wasn't what she seemed. Ho 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 ho. Ho 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 ho. The quickening pace of the night swallowed her, leaving her with nothing but uncertainty. And nothing would ever be the same again. The thick dust in the air settled slowly, blanketing the chaos of the alley as Clara struggled to process the shocking revelation. Had her life been a mere facade, crumbling before her eyes? The woman's voice hung like a death sentence in the stillness, the words sharp and full of weight. Lily isn't just any girl. She's the key to everything. The woman's eyes were wide with fear and something deeper, a desperation that clawed at Clara's insides. Suddenly, more footsteps echoed, and the figure in black moved back, eyes darting nervously. The chaos had unsettled him, but the danger wasn't over. Enough, he barked, but the conviction in his voice wavered. Clara's heart raced. What did he know? Why did it matter so much? Who are you? Clara demanded, gripping Lily tightly, unsure whether she should shield her from the world or the truth. I'm someone who knows the truth about that necklace, the woman replied, taking a step forward, her breath hitching. Lily has abilities, power that was hidden away because they wanted to control her. But it's all true. They'll come for her, just like they came for me. The weight of those words crashed down on Clara, casting shadows over everything she thought was real. The gang wasn't after just a necklace. They were hunting for Lily. Panic gripped her chest. Ryan's face paled, and Clara caught the shift in him. He took a step back, but his eyes held a knowing that sent chills down her spine. You shouldn't have brought her here, Ryan muttered to himself, presence faltering as dread seeped into his calm facade. Ryan? Clara's voice wobbled, a shiver crawling up her spine. What do you know? Before he could answer, a guttural shout thundered through the darkness. We're here for her! Give her to us! A group of men charged into the alley, illuminated by the glow of a flickering streetlight, their grim faces contorted with anger. Clara's heart dropped. The world around them spun. Get behind me, Ryan shouted, stepping in front of Clara and Lily, eyes fierce. But his bravado crumbled as the leader of the men stepped closer, revealing a gun tucked into his waistband. "Time's up, millionaire! You think you can save her?" In a flash, everything exploded. The woman lunged forward, her arm outstretched, a bright light flaring from her palm. Clara shielded Lily, who buried her face into Clara's chest, the warmth of the moment contrasting with the foreboding danger. The explosion of light froze the air, and the men stumbled back, eyes wide. Clara's breath hitched, but instead of shouting her name, the men screamed in fear. Eyes wide with terror, as if facing a ghost. "What the hell? What's happening?" Clara yelled, heart pounding in her chest. She dared to peek over her shoulder. The light pulsed and glowed, illuminating the child's face, eyes shimmering like stars. Then everything went quiet. Lily's expression shifted in that moment, one of pure focus. I didn't mean to," she whispered, voice trembling. The air shifted again, colder, dense with uncertainty. The group stood frozen, shock etched on their faces as they stared at Lily. And just like that, Clara realized the truth. "Lily," she breathed, a lump forming in her throat. "What did you do?" Suddenly, the woman fell to her knees, gasping. "Stay away from her! We need to go!" Without warning, the ground shook beneath them. The sound of roaring sirens pierced the air, blaring louder and closer. Clara's heart raced. This wasn't just a twist. This was the unraveling of everything she thought she knew. Ryan was supposed to be their protector, but fear flickered in his gaze, and now something darker began to surface beneath layers of connection. The men began to move, urgency driving them forward. "Run, Clara! Now!" Ryan yelled, pushing her toward the narrow path. But Clara didn't know where to go. Her whole life had hinged on protecting Lily, and now everything was collapsing around her. Their fragile safety frayed like a thread on the edge of a cliff. "What's the truth?" she cried, looking between the adults. "Who are you really?" Ryan's silence spoke volumes. The gang began to close in, eyes glinting with greed, while Clara felt the weight of her world bearing down. Lily looked up, eyes wide with fear and unspoken wisdom that cut deeper than any knife. "They won't stop until they have me, but I can't let them." And just like that, an unthinkable secret hung in the air, thick as smoke. What would Lily become? What had she already stepped into? Clara felt the ground shifting beneath her una vez más. Los ecos del pasado, adelante, pujante por la verdad aún solo. La noche estaba lejos de acabar, y hay respuestas encendidas. Would they emerge unscathed, or would everything they held dear fall apart? Clara's heart raced. The tension hung thick in the air. Ryan's gaze pierced through her uncertainty. She could see the light from a nearby street lamp glint off the edges of that locket, a small beacon of hope and dread. "What do you mean, an inheritance?" she asked, her voice shaking. Ryan straightened, measuring his words like stones. "Lily is part of a family far removed from this life. That necklace—" He halted mid-sentence, a flash of something crossing his face. Fear? Panic? Clara's breath quickened as she saw his hands twitch at his sides. Just then, a loud crash echoed from the alleyway behind them. Clara whipped around. Shadows flitted like ghosts, and her protective instincts surged. "Lily, stay close!" she shouted, pulling the girl tighter against her. Before she could even react, a man stumbled into view. He was disheveled, clothes torn and dirtied, with wild eyes. "Help! Please help!" he shouted, gasping for breath, madness lurking just beneath the surface. Clara instinctively stepped in front of Lily. "Get back!" she yelled, ready to shield the girl with her own body. But Ryan moved forward, raising his hands in a calming gesture. "Easy, buddy. What's going on?" The stranger collapsed at Ryan's feet, clutching his head, mumbling incoherently. "They're coming! They know! They want the girl! The necklace!" "What?" Clara gasped, her blood going cold. The city around her dimmed, shadows creeping deeper as the man's words sank in. Ryan dropped to one knee, leaning closer to the man. Who's coming?" They said they'll take her, the girl. They'll hurt her if they find her." The man's eyes darted from Ryan to Clara, and finally to Lily, who stood frozen, clutching the locket. Clara's heart thudded like a drum. Fear crash-landed in her chest. She felt the weight of 100 possibilities swirling around them, suffocating in the close air. She had a child to protect. This man, this stranger, was digging up dangers she hadn't known existed. Ryan's expression changed again, determination setting in. "Clara, we need to get out of here, now!" "I'll help you. I can—" "No!" Clara interrupted, stepping back, shaking her head. "You think I can just trust you? You just roll in with your promises of riches and now you're all, 'Let's run'? What do you even know?" Lily whimpered, the locket slipping from her fingers, rolling across the ground like a lost memory. It hit the pavement with a sharp, metallic clang. Then everything changed. An ominous growl echoed through the alley, cutting through the noise of the city. A flicker of headlights appeared, headlights that seemed to pace the alley, circling them like a predator. Clara's breath hitched. "What is that?" The stranger's eyes widened, filled with terror. "They found us!" Suddenly, figures emerged from the shadows, gliding toward them, cloaked in dark clothing, faces obscured. Clara's heart sank further, realization dawning like a cruel sunrise. Ryan straightened, eyes fixed on the approaching figures. "Stay close!" he commanded, slipping into a protective stance. "Whatever happens, do not let go of Lily." Panic surged through Clara. Who were these people? What did they want with Lily? And what in the world did that necklace represent? Suddenly, every choice, every secret, loomed unbearably large, like a building crushing the air from her lungs. She had to know! She had to understand what she was now caught in the middle of, and she could feel the world around her melting into chaos. But the moment she reached for the locket, everything quaked, tremors splitting the ground beneath her as the dark figures advanced. The alley echoed with a deep sense of dread that sent ripples through her soul. Now all she could do was hold on to Lily, hold on to hope, whatever that meant now. The weight of the night bore down on her shoulders, and uncertainty wrapped tightly around her heart. In that fleeting moment, everything shifted, and all that Clara thought she understood about her life, and the life of this innocent girl, was tossed into an unrecognizable darkness. Clara's mind swirled, looping around Ryan's offer like a record on repeat. The tension in her chest tightened as she stared at the billionaire, his polished smile barely veiling the uncertainty that flooded through her. What was this really about? The air thickened, and she felt, why should I trust you? Ryan stepped back, eyebrows slightly raised, as if her words had genuinely surprised him. I know how it is out here. You deserve more than this. I saw you, Clara. I saw you take care of Lily. That matters. Her heart raced, but doubt scratched at the corners of her mind. You don't get to act like you care. Who are you, really? Just then, a scream shattered the silence, sharp and desperate. Clara instinctively shielded Lily, looking around wildly. The dark alley held its breath, the city's distant howl momentarily muted. Another shout, this one closer, then a crash, echoing off the brick walls. Clara's stomach dropped. Fear clawed at her, and she turned back to Ryan. What is happening? I don't know, he started. But before he could finish, shadows loomed near the entrance of the alley. Clara, a voice called, frantic and familiar. It belonged to Charlie, her older brother, the one she thought had vanished for good. His unkempt hair reflected the streetlight. Panic flooded his features. He stumbled forward, eyes darting between Clara and Ryan. Get away from her. The transformation was swift. Clara's confusion morphed into shock. Charlie? What are you doing here? Are you in trouble? He barked, his voice hoarse. We need to move, now! But the warning was too late. From the shadows, a couple of rough figures stepped into the light. They were strangers, but their intent was clear. Clara felt her body tense, instincts screaming for action. Ryan's calm facade cracked, confusion etched across his face. Stay back, Charlie shouted, stepping in front of Clara and Lily. But the men advanced, eyes glinting with malice. In one fluid motion, Clara grabbed Lily and pressed her against the wall. The little girl's wide eyes flicked between her and Ryan, who looked stunned, caught in a battle of decisions. Charlie, who are they? Clara gasped, her heart hammering louder than the growing footsteps. They're after me. I owe them money. And now they think you're part of this. Charlie's voice was urgent, fevered. I just wanted to find you and... The world seemed to spin. Clara's heart sank. The man she thought had vanished into the ether was now a target. A danger to Lily. To everything she had tried to protect. Anger surged through her, mixing with fear and an overwhelming sense of betrayal. You brought this here. Enough! One of the men shouted, his eyes burning. Move aside, kid. Clara's whole being screamed for action as chaos erupted. Suddenly, a blinding light flared as a siren pierced the night. Police! Relief surged through her, but it disintegrated quickly when she saw the fear erupt on Charlie's face. Run! He yelled, panic-stricken. But it was too late. The figures broke into a sprint toward Charlie, and Clara realized the locket around Lily's neck glittered fiercely with a power she hadn't understood before. Suddenly, she felt it, a force, a weight, a pull toward the girl. In that moment, everything snapped into place. The necklace was more than a trinket. It was a lifeline, linked to secrets buried deeper than she could imagine. Would this chain hold the key to their escape, or drag them down? The alley echoed with roaring sirens, but amidst it all, Clara found herself paralyzed, standing on the edge of a revelation that shook her to her core. Who was Charlie, really? And what lay hidden in Lily's locket that could change everything? Clara's gaze locked onto Ryan, her heart racing like a wild animal within her chest. His calm demeanor felt like a storm brewing just beneath a tidy surface. And as he stepped closer, the shadows around them thickened. "Just tell me why," she breathed, forcing the words through clenched teeth. "Why now?" Ryan hesitated, the smile faltering for a split second. The air tensed like a drawn bowstring, ready to snap. "Because that necklace." But before he could finish, a sound pierced the silence, slicing through the cold night. A woman's scream echoed from the street beyond, laced with panic and despair. Clara's pulse quickened. Instinctively, she tightened her grip on Lily, pulling the girl closer. "Stay back," she warned, eyes darting to the alley's entrance. Ryan's expression changed, shifting from polished confidence to a flash of concern. "Wait," he said, moving to block Clara's view. "Don't." But another scream followed, louder this time. Clara's instincts kicked in. She didn't care if this billionaire meant well or not. She needed to protect Lily. Suddenly, a shadow loomed at the alley's mouth. Clothed in darkness, it emerged from the fog, a figure stumbling forward, wild-eyed and frantic. It was a woman, disheveled, her clothes torn and dirty. Clara recognized her from the streets. A memory of whispered warnings washed over her. "Help, please!" the woman gasped, collapsing just outside the alley. Clara's heart sank as the woman's face came into view. Recognized, but unrecognizable. It was Sarah, a ghost of the neighborhood past, once bright, but now hauntingly lost, her spirit dimmed by the weight of despair. "What happened?" Clara demanded, uneasy panic curling in her stomach. "What's going on?" "They're coming," Sarah wheezed, collapsing to her knees, her voice barely above a whisper. "They found me! They'll take her too!" Clara instinctively moved to shield Lily, fear bubbling inside her. Ryan stepped forward, his previous bravado gone. "Take her where?" he pressed, but the urgency in the air twisted everything, adding layers of confusion. "They want the necklace," Sarah cried, eyes darting back into the dark street. "Your child! They think it's hers!" Clara's blood turned to ice. The city loomed around them, full of mysteries and threats. The necklace, this beautiful, fragile thing that Clara thought could lead to freedom, now felt like a target. Ryan's expression shifted rapidly, his cool facade crumbling to reveal the deep concern etched into his features. "No, that can't be!" An approaching thrum of boots against pavement echoed, a group of figures forming silhouettes against the gleaming streetlights. Clara stepped back, her heart racing wildly. She crouched low, whispering to Lily, "We need to go, right now. Do you understand?" But Lily was frozen, staring at Sarah. Clara turned sharply, meeting Ryan's eyes, a shared panic igniting between them. "Sarah, what do you mean? Why would anyone want Lily?" Clara's voice wavered, doubt flooding in, gnawing at the edges of her trust. When Sarah took a deep breath, her expression twisted, betrayal and fear mingling. "Lily, she has a birthright. The necklace, it isn't just jewelry. It's tied to something much bigger." The rush of footsteps grew louder. Panic clawed at Clara's throat. Without thinking, she clutched Lily tight. "Tell me now, or we're leaving." But just as Sarah opened her mouth, the shadows rushed in, spilling forward like an avalanche, and Clara knew in that moment, Everything she thought she understood was about to shatter. The question hung in the air, thick and suffocating. How far did the truth go? And who among them would survive its revelation? The alley felt like it was collapsing in on them as Clara held Lily tight. The tension pulsed around them, an electric weight of fear and truth hung heavy in the air. What do you mean she has a birthright? What does that even mean? Clara demanded, trembling, heart pounding like a drum. But before Sarah could respond, a sharp breaking sound sliced through the air, a glass shuddering, echoing ominously from further down the alley. Clara flinched, instinctively pulling Lily closer, the girl's tiny fingers gripping her plaid coat. Then, all at once, a blinding light flashed, searing through the darkness, as though the city itself had erupted. Clara squinted against the brightness, confusion whipping through her. The figures at the entrance paused, silhouetted against the glow. "Run!" Ryan yelled, urgency slicing through his calm demeanor. But Clara was frozen, torn between the threat and the electrifying light. And then, with a crack like thunder, the light exploded outward, illuminating everything in euphoric brilliance. A barrier formed, brilliant and pulsing, between them and the advancing figures. Clara felt it too, the power rippling in the air. "Stay back!" Sarah screamed, her eyes wide with newfound clarity. But what crashed into Clara's awareness wasn't just the light. It was the truth. A truth tumbling forward like a runaway train. "Lily!" she shouted, mind racing. "Is this you? Did you do this?" The girl blinked, confusion marring her tiny face. I didn't mean to." Her voice quaked, as if she were a fragile bird caught in a storm. "Do what?" Clara snapped. But then her heart jolted. The advancing figures were stumbling back, fear taking root in their eyes. "Don't just stand there!" Ryan yelled, eyes darting nervously. The barrier flickered, and Clara nearly lost herself in its brilliance. "We need to get out of here, all of us!" That's when she noticed it. Beneath the glow, Claire caught a glimpse of the dark figures' faces twisted in disbelief. They weren't just scared. They looked surprised. And then the woman in the dark cloak, the one who had been standing beside Sarah, screamed, "It can't be! You're supposed to be dead!" The words hung there, slicing through the chaos like a knife. Everything froze. Clara's heart stopped, even as chaos swirled around them. What do you mean?" Clara stammered, feeling Lily shift slightly in her arms. "Lily's not just some child," the woman cried out, and Clara felt reality splinter beneath her feet. "She's a direct descendant. You shouldn't exist." A storm of confusion raged inside Clara. What did this mean for Lily? For her? Uncertainty gnawed at her insides, and before she could process it all, Lily took a step forward, breaking the light's hold. "No, please, I just want my mommy," she cried, voice breaking. Clara's heart shattered at the sound. It was a plea that echoed in the hollow place within her. "Ha ha ha ha!" The woman flinched, stepping back, eyes wide. "It can't happen like this! We have to—" Before she could finish, another voice roared from the darkness. "Enough of this!" A tall figure stepped forward, partially hidden but somehow familiar. Clara's breath caught. "Charlie?" The room went silent again, the air thick with tension, as recognition hit. He stood there, frame rigid, eyes blazing with wild determination. "You were supposed to stay away!" he boomed, anger stiffening his voice. "Now they'll come after all of us, after her!" Lily's face twisted in uncertainty, eyes darting between Clara and Charlie. The world felt more unstable than ever. Clara's mind raced, heart pounding with growing dread. In that moment, everything exploded again, but this time it shattered the very foundation of their understanding. Relationships, secrets, and truths collided in a whirlwind of confusion, leaving Clara gasping for clarity. "Who are we really?" she demanded, eyes bright with sorrow and overwhelming fear. The question echoed in the alley, chilling the air, hanging heavy between them as her entire world plunged into darkness. The answer lingered just out of reach, known only to the shadows. But Clara felt the weight of discovery pressing down. What would happen next? And would they survive the truth that was about to consume them all? Clara's heart raced, each pulse a loud, relentless drum in her ears. The weight of the moment crashed down. Her hands were shaking, gripping Lily, who stood wide-eyed, caught in the turmoil. Charlie was a mess of tension and anger, and now this woman, this stranger, had disrupted everything she thought she understood. "Who are you?" Clara insisted, her voice trembling but resolute. The alley felt alive with fear, reverberations of looming danger echoing around them. The woman hesitated. "I'm someone who can help. The necklace, it's a link to her past." She paused, glancing nervously at the advancing figures. "But time is running out." "Help?" Clara scoffed, struggling under the weight of both disbelief and fear. "You think I can trust you?" Ryan's expression flickered. "Clara, please, we don't have time for this." Before she could respond, the crowd of figures surged forward, shadows merging into a darker form. Clara's throat tightened. The air was thickening, pressing in. Suddenly, with a loud crack, the alley lights flickered, enough for Clara to catch a glimpse of a large man breaking through, his broad shoulders blocking the path behind him. Clara's stomach dropped. It was the leader of the men from earlier, the one who had threatened her. "You can't get away!" "Oh!" he roared, eyes wild, dripping with malice. "Run!" Ryan yelled. Moving to shield Clara and Lily, they all surged forward. But just then, there was a loud boom, like thunder rattling the world beneath them. Clara felt the ground shake, su corazón aperrando, y después hubo fuego. Un fuego brillante iluminó la noche, eructo de donde estaban las figuras. Clara se volteó, boca abierta en horror, y mira el caos. Las sombrantes excretas de su polilla. ¡Qué alajo! Se resintió entre Lili, entre el peligro y el fenómeno. A figura emergió del placer, alto, dorco y enteramente familiar. Fue caído, las mismas caras que encuentras en tus soñados, pero estaban en mentiras y peligros. No. Clara le encantó el collar en tus manos con una cosa imprecisa. No, no, no! A deafening silence followed the eruption, the chaos moving fast yet feeling frozen. Clara's heart dropped again, lost in a vortex of confusion. That figure, wasn't it Charlie? What was happening? "Clara, get back!" Ryan shouted, his eyes wide with panic. But his voice seemed far away now, drowned in chaos. Lily's small hand grabbed Clara tighter, yet, on the edge of the firelight, Charlie stepped forward, eyes blazing. "No, it's me," he shouted, a wild manic gleam blurring his features. I didn't mean for this to happen. Time splintered. Everything crashed together. Charlie's desperate admission. The flames licking upward. The men retreating in fear. Charlie, what did you do? Clara breathed, unable to comprehend. The chaos swirled around them, but all she could focus on was her brother's face. I've been trying to protect you, he yelled, voice cracking. And as Clara's world tipped on its axis, she felt loss wrap its cold fingers around her heart. But this is what they want. They want the necklace. It's the only thing that... A piercing scream cut through the air, thick and sharp. The alley dulled momentarily, Clara lost in panic. Then, from the wreckage, a figure crawled out, one of the men who had chased them. His clothes were singed, but he rose, eyes frenzied, mouth agape. "Charlie," he screeched, "you don't know what..." But what happened next left Clara reeling. The man lunged forward, fingers outstretched, and in an instant, that searing light burst again. A jolt of power electrified the air. The street lit up with blinding brightness, and Clara couldn't breathe as everything altered around her. Faces twisted, chaos swirled, and then everything went black. Clara's breath hitched as she gasped toward the void, the world crumbling around her. The darkness swallowed the alley whole, leaving only the echo of that desperate scream. Secrets, betrayal, confusion. Everything they had fought for began to slip through her fingers as she clawed at the nothingness. And then, in that deep silence, a realization as cold as ice gripped her. What if Charlie wasn't who he claimed to be? And what was the truth behind Lily's necklace? She remained lost in shadow, heart pounding in her ears, desperate for answers, counting the seconds as they slipped away into the abyss. Clara gasped as the world snapped back into focus. The blaze had faded, leaving smoke swirling around them like ghosts. Sounds rushed in, the echo of footsteps, distant sirens, and frantic murmurs followed them. Lily trembled in her arms, her wide eyes reflecting Clara's own fear. Clara's heart raced, half in panic, half in the desperate need to protect her. "Lily, it's okay. I'm right here," she whispered, though the uncertainty made her voice quaver. In front of them, Charlie stood as a storm brewing. "You don't understand, Clara. They'll never let you go if they find out the truth." The truth? Clara's voice edged on anger, but there was fear too. She turned to Sarah, who looked as if she'd seen too much. "What do you know about my brother? About Lily?" The air was thick, charged with an unshakable tension. Ryan moved forward, trying to piece together the fragments. "Clara, let's think this through. We need to get out of here," he urged, eyes darting between the shadows as they flicked back toward the chaos. But Clara couldn't shake the truth swirling in her head. "You're both yelling about secrets and truths. I just want to protect Lily." The desperation clawed up her throat, raw and urgent. "What does that necklace mean?" Sarah stepped closer, desperation spilling from her frantic eyes. "Lily is tied to something greater. That necklace is a conduit, a connection to a powerful legacy. The others, they don't want her to know who she truly is." The implications sent a chill down Clara's spine. The city around them felt alive with fear, veins pulsing through the concrete streets. Ryan stepped up, trying to bridge the gap. "Lily, what do you feel?" he asked, voice steady yet coaxing. Do you feel anything when you hold the necklace? Lily looked between them. It feels warm, like sunshine. Her tiny fingers grazed the locket, and in that moment, a soft glow radiated from it, illuminating Clara's anxious face. Then, from the shadows, a figure moved again, creeping forward. Clara's breath hitched, and Ryan stepped in front, fiercely protective. "Stay back," he shouted. But it was too late. In an instant, the approaching figure lunged forward. Clara screamed, instinct taking over as she tucked Lily behind her. But just as fear clutched her heart, there was a flash of that warmth, the same light that wrapped around Lily, and the figure froze, stunned. ... What the? The man gasped, eyes wide, realizing the power radiating from the child. Clara and Ryan exchanged looks of disbelief as the strength of the light pushed back against the encroaching dark. The man blinked, disbelief washing over his face. No way! Lily, still trembling but now with a flicker of courage, stepped beside Clara. "No one can take me! I won't let them!" With those words, the atmosphere shifted. The impending doom felt less consuming. Charlie stood back, breathless. "I didn't know. I thought I could keep you safe, Clara." "You kept everyone in the dark!" Clara shouted back, still pressing Lily protectively against her. "We have to trust each other, or we'll lose everything." In that moment, the chaotic swirl de emociones softened. Clara respiró para Charlie, hundiéndolo de desespero otra vez. "Somos familia. ¿Enfrentaremos esto?" Como mitad círculo, la panda retrituyó, y los gangigalgatos burbujamente bulió en sus ojos. Ryan se metió a la entrada con una mano hacia la entrada. "Esta termina", comandó autoridad. While Clara felt su corazón batir rítmicamente con esperanza, pero como se disipaba el grupo en la noche, vísperos de incertidumbre se elevaban en el aire. Lily parece alta, de fianza en sus jóvenes ojos. "Let's go home," Clara said softly, a steady determination building within her. But would they ever know true safety? Would the legacy hidden within Lily's necklace pull them into another unpredictable storm? The looming questions swirled in Clara's mind, and as they stepped out of the alley, she felt the weight of uncharted pain and potential lurking just below the surface. In the stillness of night, the shadows whispered secrets yet to unfold, and Clara clutched Lily's hand, ready to face whatever came next. Now, hold on tight, because this is just the beginning. If you loved this journey, you have to subscribe now. Don't miss out on what happens next. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood that comment section with your thoughts and theories. I can't wait to see what you think. And please, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see how this story unfolds. This is the moment to rally together, so don't wait even a S.